Women in Energy is a network of women, of professional women in the energy sector. And we're not just focused on the energy, but we're also targeting the climate space at the moment as well. So more renewable energy as well. The work that we've done basically spans across 5 pillars. We firstly focus on increasing women's participation in STEM fields. Number 2, we ensure that women are essentially, when they are part of the environment, that recruitment policies are fair, and women are well represented in the energy and climate space. Number 3, we focus on professional development and trainings and mentorship of women who are part of the sector and are part of the different organizations. Number 4, we focus on ensuring that retention is there, so that there are adequate policies for women in the energy sector. That includes facilities like daycare, for example, having that representation there in the energy sector, and ensuring that spaces are safe and respect gender parity. And lastly, but I think which is the most important role that we do, is regarding policy and institutional change in the energy sector. So ensuring that there's normative change across the energy sector, that there is gender parity in the energy and climate space, and that over time there's institutional policy reform targeted to basically ensuring gender parity in the sector. So these are 5 pillars, and the framework that we apply on this is part of the We Power initiative, which is the World Bank's initiative for increasing women's participation in South Asia. I think Namira can add more to the work we do and our achievements.
Sure.
Thank you, Maha.
Sure. Please, Namira, please go ahead. Yes.
Thank you for setting the stage. I'll just add more to what Maha has already said, just to sort of show how stark the situation of gender imbalance has been in Pakistan. We participated in collecting data that was compiled in a 2018 study released by World Bank, which shows that the gender imbalance in Pakistan is bad overall in the professional sector, but in energy sector it's even worse. So women account for approximately 4.6% of total technical staffs. So this includes all the engineering posts and technical positions, and women are 3.6% of total staff. So these include the administrative posts as well. And we see that this is far lower than the total average of female students graduating from engineering universities, which is 23%. So we see that there is a very steep pyramid happening, in which the number of women in universities is slightly higher, but then it falls dramatically in the professional sector. And even within the professional sector, we see that there are more women in the younger positions, and it's a very steep slope for positions of leadership in the energy sector. So that's something that we're very, very aware of, and that's something that we work on. We're not very interested in just hiring women in admin posts in the energy sector. What we're really focused on working towards is having women in leadership positions in the energy and climate space in Pakistan.
So, so Namira, since you mentioned, engineering positions, and you also talk about the industrial sector. So when you say women in energy, are we just limiting ourselves to the manufacturing and industrial sectors? Because I see there's great potential for integration of women within discos and power plants, and the wider energy sector, also perhaps within petroleum companies, because I see them being overly skewed towards hiring men. So do you, how do you define the energy sector firstly, and do you include some of those verticals also?
Absolutely. So when we say energy, our definition of the energy sector is very wide. We include the traditional fossil fuel industry. We include the renewable energy industry. Solar and wind is big in Pakistan. We include the green urban and cities space in Pakistan, and also sort of the clean energy transition and climate action work. What we see happening in Pakistan, which is reflective of the global trend as well, is that there are more and more women, especially younger women, joining these emerging climate action and green energy transition sectors, as opposed to the traditional fossil fuel sectors. And we find this a very interesting and very exciting opportunity, because the traditional oil and gas sectors would mostly hire people with engineering backgrounds. And, traditionally, these were males, the male population that was studying engineering and also then joining the professional sector. But what we see now is that this new and growing spaces which work on the energy transition and which work on climate action and climate finance, they require people with holistic backgrounds, so with a wide array of skill sets. And most of these people are, graduating in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years maximum. And they are graduating from universities with a much bigger skill set. And we see that there's a much better gender balance in the younger population joining. So it's hopeful for all of us that with this growing space of green energy transition and climate action, we'll see younger women joining in greater numbers.
Maha, would you like to add to that?
Absolutely. So it's it's a very diverse set of targets. Sorry, I think I got muted. So essentially, what we're actually targeting on is the fact that women are part of this broader energy sector, and it's not just limited to traditional manufacturing or oil and gas sector, but we've also covered renewable energy. What's also interesting is that we are interdisciplinary in a lot of ways. So for example, energy law is something that we also cover. Then it's also people working in energy policy and adjoining areas as well. So it's far reaching and again focused on creating that larger normative change in the energy sector when it comes to gender balance.
So apart from the engineering positions that Namira was just talking about, and I think point very well taken. But I've seen in the oil and petroleum sectors, the traditional oil and petroleum sectors that Namira was talking about, there are a lot of positions, especially strategic positions within these organizations that have a great impact on the direction of policy, are usually hiring people with, business administration kind of backgrounds, people with MBA type degrees. And a lot of these people at the initial leg of their careers are working in the field and are going to, for instance, petrol pumps and stations in the field, and then, interacting with public. And I've talked to their managers, and they're mostly inclined to hire men because they think that, men would be able to sort of, go down to the field and meet people and do the longer work hours. So some of those perceptions also need to be changed. Do you think that that's one of the Achilles heel, and that's one of the big challenges that women in energy would need to overcome?
Namira, can you take that? Because I think our work largely focuses on increasing women in technical roles, but also leadership position. And that's something that we've also always encountered, the stereotype and the traditional fact that perhaps women will be less inclined in those roles or not suitable.